Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Talking with Alaa Abdelnaby. Since we left, the Spurs made it official. Final 92-88. They take Game 1 in Miami from the Heat. And you were talking about Duncan and his legacy. How about Popovich? Another one, another no-brainer. I mean, one of the best ever.
Absolutely. You talk about, he's one of these guys that I admire in that he does it his way. You know, there's a lot of guys. I've played for guys that they're coaches in title, but they don't really run anything. He runs everything. You know what I mean? He's got the last word. The coaches, I should say the players respect him. You know what I mean? And I think because of the way he does things, he's been able to have the kind of teams he wants with the kind of players out there. And then you look at the success, I don't think that's a surprise. Besides the guy that I played for in college, Coach K, I think he'd be the next best choice. Once he retires, he'd be the next best choice as Team USA coach.
That would be amazing. Love to see that. Love to see that.
Sure.
Well, I mean, he said when Duncan leaves, he's going to leave with him, so the guy will have some free time.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll consider it, you know?
What do you think? What do you make of, by the way, speaking of the coaching, how do you, George Karl gets Coach of the Year and then they fire him? Okay, explain that to me.
That's the NBA. I mean, you look at, there's plenty of guys. Look at what P.J. Carlesimo did in New Jersey. I mean, he basically turned around a team that was struggling at the beginning of the year. They make the playoffs. They do struggle against the Bulls. They probably should have beat them, but he gets fired too. It's hardcore. I mean, you never know. Having been in it, you never know what the people running the team are thinking about. Man.
Yeah, you're right. Well, No, unbelievable. Well, in Brooklyn, it makes sense. I read Jay-Z is going to have Alicia Keys coach the team. So.
Yeah. You think George?
Half times will be entertaining.
Sure. You think Carl goes to the Clippers?
You know what? I mean, it's definitely a possibility for him. And knowing Coach Carl like I do, and I don't know him real well, but I know him well enough to know he's not going to sit on the sideline and do nothing. So whether it's the Clippers or if there's another job or two that open up, I wouldn't be surprised to see him somewhere coaching real soon. One, because he knows the game, and two, I think he's a good enough coach that he'll help another team. I mean, how funny is it even we're talking about the Clippers needing a coach? They had their best season in a long, long time.
Right.
And Del Negro gets fired. The league it's harsh. It's hardcore, and no telling what people are thinking. I think the other thing that out there is GMs and guys running teams think there's always somebody better out there. There's always somebody I can go get, whether it's a Phil Jackson that, you know, is always thrown around. But, yeah, I think that's part of it. And, again, for me, I stopped trying to think of what these guys are thinking about a long time ago. And one of my teammates in college, Billy King, actually runs the Nets. And I know Billy, and there are times when he does things, and I'm like, man, I don't even know who you are anymore.
You know, if the Heat lose, do you think Pat Riley fires Spoelstra?
No, I don't think it's Spoelstra's fault. Again, remember earlier we talked about Wade isn't that healthy. Bosh, I don't see Bosh being that third superstar. I think Bosh is a good ball player. I don't see him being on the level of those other two guys, Wade and LeBron. So I just don't. And then when you see guys like Ray Allen, today he played okay, but struggled to shoot the basketball. Battier struggled to shoot the basketball. Their team isn't performing like they should. They're not clicking on all cylinders. When they are, they're tough to beat. And I know going up against the Spurs, if they all play well, they can beat them like they did for the first three quarters. But you got to play all four, and I think eventually the Spurs. It's tough to beat the Spurs four times. I think that's what Miami has to do. Obviously, I don't see them doing it.
What do you think the Heat? What do you think adjustment-wise we'll see from the Heat in Game 2, based on what you saw today? Their inability to stop Tim Duncan in the paint. What can they do?
Well, I think they have to do what they did in the first three quarters, which is get to the rim. I thought without Roy Hibbert, now that they're not playing against the Pacers, the lane looked wide open, and for the first three quarters, that's how Tim Duncan got into foul trouble. LeBron's taking it right at him, getting to the rim. I thought they stopped doing that in the fourth quarter. They started shooting jump shots, and they weren't falling. They had five turnovers in the fourth quarter. That didn't help either. So now you're all of a sudden not getting buckets, and in a tight game, you're allowing San Antonio to come down and execute and get buckets, that's going to hurt you in over 12 minutes. And I thought that was the difference. So they're going to have to execute, limit their turnovers, and keep getting to the rim in the second game, because they're still going to be playing at home. They might get some calls as well.
So drive into the basket. I mean, you can isolate that, having watched the game, that was something they did the first 3 quarters, and then they stopped. I mean, that's something, watching film, that they can take that away and say, hey, just keep driving to the basket. I still think that, for some reason, I like the Heat. I'm the only person in America who actually likes this team, but I think they have a great chance.
Good.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
of course. Well, there's 20,000 jerk-offs from white shirts who like them.
I know. It seems simple, though. If you had success driving to the hoop in the first 3 quarters, and then for whatever reason you weren't doing that, and that's when you got beat, just drive to the hoop.
Yeah, it's like
Give it to
that-
LeBron. Say, go dunk it.
It's as easy as that cabin riddle.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, Alaa, who do you think is more hated in Cleveland, LeBron or that guy who kidnapped the 3 girls?
Well, I'm going to say still, you know what? I'm going to say LeBron. because I was in Ohio about a month ago, and they're still not over.
They are, man. You talk to, and Cleveland's a hardcore sports town. I've done a bunch of stand-up there. They love their teams, and there is no, as much as sometimes they try to whitewash a little bit in the press, there is no love lost still there, man. They are really pissed at him.
No, and I think, you know what? You see them playing well now. They got Kyrie, Irving, probably one of the best, young point guards in the league. He's going to be there for a long time. I love his game. I mean, obviously I'm biased because he's a Dookie, but at the same time, the kid can play. But even with their success recently, I think they're going to have to win a championship for him to be forgiven or forgotten.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Exactly. That would be amazing if the Cavaliers can win another champion.
If they won it without him.
Oh, with NBA title before the Heat can do it again. Well, listen, Alaa, you're always great, man, and come back and join us throughout the finals and maybe after.
Thanks, Artie. I really appreciate it, pal. Donnie, have a good night, too, as well. I'll
Thanks,
talk to you
man.
guys.
All right, thanks, Al. Alaa Abdelnaby, great guy and a new friend of the show. And, so anyway, there it is. The Heat lose game 1 of the Spurs in Miami. And who knew Richie is a closet Heat lover?